Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast. It is July 2nd, 2022. It is our official Happy Birthday to America episode. Happy 4th of July to all of you folks that are going to listen to this July 4th weekend. Hopefully, you guys are out celebrating America and being safe and enjoying the fireworks. And with me, as always, is my favorite American, Mr. Bunk. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Favorite great American.
Favorite great American. That is correct.
I'm good, man. How we doing?
I am fantastic. Any fun family plans for the 4th of July?
No, we did a bunch of stuff today, make the kids happy, and we might be taking in some minor league baseball with fireworks afterwards.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
Little minor league action in good old Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, that should be fun. All right, let's get into it. Sports Card Advantage podcast business. What do we got? We have T-shirt giveaway. This is going to be the last week for everybody to submit. So if you want to enter to be eligible to win, we're going to give away 5 free T-shirts. The new Sports Card Advantage merch that will be coming out. The designs are done. Just finishing making up the store in the website. So once that's done in the next couple of days, we'll be pretty much ready. So if you want to enter, send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage. Just put T-shirt somewhere in the subject or the body of the email. Surprisingly, we don't have that many entries. So if you enter, you probably have a good chance to win. We will do the drawing coming up on next week's episode. And then just a little bit of scheduling notes for everybody. I will be here for the next 2 episodes, and then I will be out. I am going in for surgery on the 14th of July. We're going to pre-record an episode that week, and then Bunk will finally get his chance to shine. The solo episode is coming up the week of July 23rd, right before National. He can go over a whole bunch of fun stuff with you. And then for those of you that are going to be at National that want to meet up with Bunk, also let us know. Send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. We'll try to set something up the Friday or Saturday. Is that when you're planning on being there?
I'll definitely be there. Yeah, both those days for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so the Friday and Saturday of National. So if you're going to be around, send us an email. We'll set up a date and time for Sports Card Advantage podcast fans to get together. Bunk will have some free shirts with him, and we'll definitely give some of those out.
Yeah, I have no agenda. I am just aimlessly wandering the entire convention.
Well, we had planned on sending there with some money to try to buy stuff for grading, but I don't even know if we're going to do that with with the crackdown on PSA giving out 9s instead of 10s now.
Well, that too, and people, Guy, you know how it is at shows, and now more than ever, everything's going to be well over comps of anything that you're going to want to buy.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's not even going to be worth having a conversation on some pieces with some of these guys. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, and let's talk. Let's table that, and let's have that as our main topic of conversation next week, as far as what card shows and National and stuff is going to look like this year with the state of the economy, state of the market. We'll talk about all that.
We're indirectly probably going to hit that today when we talk about the first half of 2022 here.
Yeah, I mean, I think
we can lead into the.
Yeah, I think we could talk about. We did a little bit of this last year. How to handle yourself at shows, and how to discuss comps and all that stuff with dealers and things along those lines. And I think this year more than ever, that's much more important. Just based on the fact, I mean, last year things were a little bit down, coming off like the main highs of March and April, but this year obviously we're well in below where we were last year. So anyway, we'll save that for next week. As you alluded to, We will be talking about state of the hobby for the first half of 2022 here today. But before we move on to that, as usual, do you have any Sports Card Advantage podcast business you'd like to go over?
No, I'm saving all the business for the solo episode.
Jesus.
I'll handle that well.
God help us all when Bunk has free reign on the microphone, and I'll be literally,
The inbox, I promise you, will be full.
yeah, I will literally be drooling on myself after surgery and won't be able to do anything about it. Um, yes, and that reminds me, for Bunk's solo episode, please fill the inbox, send us questions, give him stuff you want him to talk about. This is all of you collectors out there that is your main love of the hobby. This is your chance to get a all collecting episode. So send us questions, info at sportscardadvantage.com.
Yeah, different trading sites, different selling sites. While even though I'm mainly a collector, what do I do to get funds to buy for my PC? There's all sorts of stuff we can go over.
Yeah. So fill the inbox, help support Bunk on his solo quest here, and let us know what you want him to talk about. And then so let's get into the episode. The first half of 2022 is over, and we are going into the second half of 2022. So we're gonna do a state of the hobby for the first half. Let's kick it off with general impressions. Last year, 2021, from January to June, you had a massive rise and a pretty large sell off that happened. We have not seen that this year. So, what are your general first impressions as far as 2022 in general, and then 2022 compared to 2021?
Well, yeah, I think in that previous, I'm gonna call it an error, but period of time, uh, everything was up, right? So even your lower end stuff, people were speculating on absolutely everything, which I think is now come back down to earth. Um, so now I'm seeing it's more as it should be with the perceived overproduction and overprinting of cards. Now I'm seeing that the your scarcer, rarer cards, your numbered cards, your SSPs, those are still doing pretty well. Even beyond, even beyond that inflated period after release. I think there. I was just looking the other day. My last 4 or 5 months, I was looking at all the cards that I bought on CMC, eBay, etc. I don't think I bought a single card that wasn't numbered to 100 or less, unless it was for my any kind of player collecting or set collecting that I do.
Sets. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean those most of those I don't collect that low number type of set because I have 100 open sets as it is. So if I add a whole bunch of sets to 50, forget it. But yeah, everything I bought lately, just because I wanted to mean something eventually, has been low numbered.
Yeah. I mean, 2021, there was still a little bit of life left in base cards, and I would have to say that as of now, unless it is a older, rarer, low pop graded base card, um, for the most part, base is completely dead. I think you'll see there's some like initial pops like this year when 2021 Prism came out and you had your quarterbacks and their base cards and the initial first tens that came out sold for money, but eventually those will dissipate and die off and be relatively worthless. And so there's definitely that. Base is if it isn't all the way down the drain, it is circling the drain to completely dead and worthless. I mean,
Yeah,
especially.
your flagship cards that are pushing 10K plus in population, they're the same as the base.
Yeah.
They're not going to be worth that.
Yeah, I mean,
Like I can't overpay for them right now because it's all about scale. It's just like when that dopey Project 2020 came out, and I thank God I only little bit got sucked into that. But you were seeing these print runs come out. I kept telling people like, there's 18,000 of these cards. It's not going to be worth anything.
yeah,
But it was just the time that it had released. It was a perfect storm for people getting all hyped up on it.
yeah. I mean, the FOMO got real for people, and it kicked in. But Yeah, it all comes back at the end of the day. It all comes back to supply and demand. And if at any time, I can go on to eBay and type in the card, and there's thousands, hundreds of them available at any given day, hour, week, month, year, whatever it is. Prices are going to come down because they're available. There's no scarcity, and that's what we're seeing with some of these bases. But the wrench that I will throw in there is the print quality is such garbage on some of this year's product. How many PSA 10, Mac Jones and Trey Lance and Justin Fields and Zach Wilson are you going to see because the print quality? So, between the print quality being bad and Panini and PSA cracking down perceivably on tens, when does that may come into play
Well,
because
backdoor meeting conspiracy theory. I brought it up, I think, a week or two ago that they, they said make some shitty cards and we can get these pops down.
it's definitely it's not impossible that the Illuminati of sports cards are getting together to put
I
that in
mean,
motion.
listen, we are in the infancy here of the return to normal. I think we're still going probably a 12 to 18-month window of still going down, a
Yeah,
general going down
yeah, the
to
economy.
pre 2019. Yeah, the economy, COVID and the economy obviously are variables in this scenario that, but in any event, we're going back slowly to pre 2019 levels. So it really comes down to what are you? Are you a collector? Are you a flipper? Or are you both? And how are you handling this change in the market? If you just got in 2019, you've lost money. You're losing money. You're turned off. Now, with that being said,
Well, no,
is
if you
there,
got in 2021 is what you're saying. You got in 2029. If you got in 2019, you made a
and you're
shit ton of
still
money.
holding your
Oh yeah, yeah,
cards.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you're still holding your cards. But with that being said, there's still, I don't think popularity is down. I think demand is still high, if that makes sense, because you're seeing the box prices are still out of control. People are still filling breaks. Shows are still packed. You got kids everywhere setting up their own tables and social media accounts and stuff. So I think the popularity and demand is strong. I just think the money's being allocated elsewhere because I don't know what the percentage of people who are collector versus flipper versus both, but
Well, I mean, the question that I would ask, what is the flipper doing to make any fucking money? Like,
you got to be the best of the best right now.
unless you can afford the low numbered high end stuff that you can buy at shows for 60 to 70% of comp and then flip for 90% of comp, or play like you catch it at the right time and the guy has a great game, or few weeks or whatever, and then you can turn around and flip it. But otherwise, grading, buying and grading has become difficult. And, obviously you're not getting that run up that you saw between, 2020 and 2021. So it's like if you're trying to flip, it's not easy right now.
It may not be as quick a flip, but I don't want to use the word preying on because that's the wrong word here. But I actually think it might be easier for some of these guys to buy right now because you got so many people that want to liquidate right now that
Yeah.
in terms of buying and flipping, there may be a little bit more of a window that they're carrying that stuff with, and they're being a little bit more selective in what they're buying. But I think they're having no issues, getting what they want that they think they can turn around.
Well, I mean, that also becomes,
But
it's a dangerous game that you're playing right now because a card may have sold for, let's say, $500 as the last comp, and then you think you're getting a great deal by buying it at 350. But, by the time you turn around, unless you can turn around and flip it instantly for 450, if you have to wait 3, 4 weeks for it to come down, or I mean, to sell it, the price could come down and then you're going to make a lot less money or nothing. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. We consigned with, to sell cards with DC Sports, and we were dumping a bunch of stuff. And, we sold a few things, and things sold for certain prices, and then people didn't pay. And then DC's policies, you have to wait basically 2 weeks for them to relist it, and then it goes up for another week. So you're talking 3 weeks. We had multiple cards that didn't get paid for. By the time they got resold, 3 to 4 weeks later, the price had dropped 30 or 40% on the second go round. And so it's definitely a dangerous game right now as far as buying and holding. If you can buy and flip right away, good for you. But if you're holding it for any amount of time, you're definitely playing with fire.
Well, right, and I think you're in trouble if you're walking away from a profit or breaking even today because you think there's going to be a bigger profit a year from now. I
Yeah.
think that's a poor tactic right now. The other thing is too is, are we seeing more rare, cooler cards out right now? Going back to your, the flippers, are we seeing that because those people see the writing on the wall and they want to cash out now? So are we seeing some of these nicer, rare pieces that are still driving some nice money because people are trying to get out? Things that you don't come up that often, and when they do come up, people are all over it.
Um, I mean, those things may be sneaking out of the woodwork, I guess, because guys that bought it, you know, a year or two ago or whatever, and now it's just like, well, shit, we got to dump this before this thing completely bottoms
Like,
out.
yeah, like they're still up on it, and they don't want to be upside down in
Yeah,
6 months,
yeah. I mean
and they
that's
thought they were holding it longer. Is my point.
yeah. I mean that's definitely possible, and you could get caught holding things for too long. I mean that's what happened to me with my crypto portfolio. I got into crypto real early, on some of the newer coins, a couple of years ago, and I was bought into some of this stuff at very low prices, and then it ran all the way up, and I was like, well, I think I'm just going to ride this out, and I was like, I'll just hold it through until things this it will be the future, and then as it just keeps falling, you just keep kicking yourself every $1,000 that falls off your account, and then it's just like shit. And then finally, I just dumped it all. I was like, there'll be opportunities to buy back in, and at least I can capture some money. But I mean, I lost easily 4 or 5 grand, that I could have cashed out because I was just on the fence as far as what I was going to do. And I think sports cards is real similar. They're both alternative assets, and they both had huge run up, and then now they're coming back down to earth.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we're seeing it with cards, and again, like I said, I can't stress enough. I think it's going to continue to go down. So if you're a collector, you're loving life because. Am I panicking at all? No, I've been doing this for the better part of 40 years, and this is what it does. It goes up, it goes down.
yeah, you have guys that
Something
you're going
makes
to
it goes up,
hold.
something makes it go down.
I mean, you have guys that you're going to hold for the rest of your life, so it doesn't matter whether where we are now.
Yeah, even cards I love that I know are high dollar that I've accumulated over the years, they're going up and down. But see, I still consider that collecting. While I do recognize that a value a larger piece holds, I am not sitting there refreshing every 12 hours to see if now the time to sell. Those pieces are not going anywhere. So listen, and no disrespect to people who that's how they hobby. I've accepted now that that's how it works, and we all can coexist, and you have every right to do that with your cards. But um, what I'm doing as a mainly collector is I'm sitting back and I'm trying to recognize all the opportunities and deals that exist now,
Yeah,
especially in the my nobody player collecting. The no they're not going to be Hall of Famers. I just have these obscure little collections with the sets. That stuff is dirt cheap right now.
yeah, and it's going to get cheaper. I mean,
Yeah,
so if the sports card market follows the economy, most people that are, you know, anybody that you listen to as far as economists or social media influencers that are billionaires that have some sort of insights into the market, they're saying that we're in for at least another 12 to 24 months of super high inflation, super high gas prices, everything else is going to be just crazy. And, so sports card market is going to probably follow that, if not lag a little bit behind it, because as people get money, they're putting it into mainstream things and then the alternative asset stuff. So there could be a 3 to 6 month lag after the economy starts to bounce back before that money comes back into cards.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
and now we're going to nerd out a little bit on some numbers. I want to look at, since we're talking the state of the hobby, I put together a list of 6 guys from baseball, basketball, and football, and we're just going to take a quick look at some of their cards to, just get an idea as far as, across the sports, what everything's done for the last 6 months. So for those of you that are interested in the numbers part of this will be your time to enjoy this. see. We're gonna do a little. So for baseball, we're gonna do Otani, Acuna, Vlad, Tatis, Mantle, and Trout. So the first card that I have up here is the 2018 Topps Chrome Refractor Otani PSA 10, and we're gonna look at this for the last 6 months. And so 6 months ago, beginning of the year, this card was selling for 579. Last sale was 350. So there's a 40% drop off with this card in the first half of 2022, which is a little crazy. Obviously Otani is, once again playing very, very well, and we're in baseball season. So and unfortunately, it's a little hard to compare last year. I mean, if you want to look at last year at the beginning of 2021, this card was selling for $79, and the end of June, this card was selling for $760. But that was in the middle of the massive upswing in 2021. So you had a freaking 500% increase from beginning of 2021 to the middle of 2021, and this year is a 40% drop off. And we'll run through the other guys pretty quick here. I imagine we're going to see similar numbers. So we'll take the Prism Refractor for Vlad. This card's down 22%. I mean, and to me, it's just like this is all economy. Vlad's on pace to hit 40 home runs. I think it's 40. Is he on pace to hit 40 or 35 to 40 home runs and 100 runs and 100 RBIs? His card shouldn't be down 23% in the last 6 months.
unless we're in a correction.
Yeah. And then looking at some of this stuff like Acuna and Tatis, those guys are just interesting just because of the injuries, and Tatis was hurt and came back. So if you look at the 2018 Topps Chrome Refractor PSA 10, that's also down 29% since the beginning of the year. But the interesting part of this is if you start to look at stuff like Mantle, so we'll look at the most affordable 1952 Topps Mantle card, which is the PSA 1, which is still 40. Is that right? $40,000 for a PSA 1?
If it's the 52, yeah.
Yeah. I gotta find a better one than that.
It was 56 or 60, something like that.
I mean, all right. So we'll just take a quick look. So this card sold for 24,000 back in December of 2021. Last sale was 42,000. So this card's up 40% in the last basically 7 months.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the key vintage guys aren't going anywhere, and if anything, they'll continue to rise because, again, compared to ultra modern, this stuff is super scarce. And I get the argument that as each generation goes by, they're going to be less and less interested in vintage, but I just don't see that happening. Scarce is scarce, and sports card's a sports card.
So I mean, I guess the reflect, interesting reflection. Let's see, 6 months. Yeah, I mean, so I'm looking at the just any random Mantle 1959 Mantle. That was selling for 550 at the beginning of the year. Now it's selling for 460, but there's also a sale that happened 2 weeks ago for 660. So I mean, the less popular affordable Mantle stuff is flat, basically.
Right, but we already have their entire body of work. They're not
Yeah.
hitting 3 home runs a week to make it go up. I'd expect it to remain flat.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at, depending on which grade you look at, like his PSA 5 is up 20% since the beginning of the year. So the vintage stuff, is up. And the modern stuff. Let's take a quick look at Trout, because Trout somewhat falls in the middle of that.
Yeah, but if you're gonna do his update card, that's down.
I haven't gotten there yet, so stop ruining the surprise here. But yes, the 20. So we're gonna look at just an affordable Trout. 2011 Topps update PSA 9. This is down 29% since the beginning of the year. So, I mean, but the pop on this is also 3,400 and change. So anything that has any kind of popularity to it for baseball, since the first half of this year is down anywhere from 20 to 40%, regardless of on-field performance.
Even on the gem mints, even your update tens and your BGS 9.5s, the combined you're over 10K total copies of a gem mint update trout. So
Yeah,
again, people are recognizing that's a lot, and I can buy one anytime I want.
yeah. I mean,
I
and so
I, I think those cards are going to continue to come down.
I mean, even his Bowman Chrome Draft, which the pop on and the PSA 10 pop on, it's only 1,200. That card's down 38% since the beginning of the year.
But it'd be one that I'd be more apt to buy if it's starting to bottom because of the pop on it.
Yeah, but the question becomes, where's the bottom? I mean, because so
Agreed.
it's like his 2011 Bowman Chrome Draft Refractor, which the pop on that's 288, is down 35% since the beginning of the year. And 2 grand is expensive, but it's a lot more affordable than some of the mantle shit. And if you look at this card over all time, so last sale was 2,100. This card was as high as 7,500 back in February of last year. But at the same time, you start looking at the beginning of end of 2019, this card was selling for a third of the last sale. So if that's where we're going, and you start buying now, you're still gonna take it up the ass, for another 60% of your money.
Oh, agreed. We're in full blown launch mode. I mean,
Yeah.
again, to our points earlier about 12 to 18 months, easy. I think stuff's going to decline.
Yeah, if you're
You get
make
into this baseball offseason is going to be a bloodbath.
yeah, if you're making any kind of long-term investment, you should be sitting with cash on the sideline right now. Let's look a little bit of basketball. Let's see here. We'll start with some 2018 Luca. I mean, basically, what we try to do is look at the most popular players of the hobby, a couple in between generations, and then some older stuff. So for basketball, we have Luca, Zion, Ja, LeBron, Jordan, and then the Magic Bird, Dr. J rookie. So for 2018, as we talked about base wise, the Luca 2018 Prism base PSA 10 card is literally at all time lows as of today, or a couple days ago at $330. This card was once selling for 2,000, but over the course of 6 months, cards down 25%. We can look at some of the more rarer stuff for him. I mean, if you look at his silver, his PSA 10 silver is down to 1950. So it's under 2 grand, and one sold for 1786. And so this card is also down 35% since the beginning of the year. And granted, it's the end of basketball season, but still, I mean, it's the numbers jive with baseball. Let's see if we can find something a little bit more rare. I mean, if you look at like his purple, Prism purple or Prism fast break blue out of 175 and out of 75, those are down less. Those are only down 15%, but still, those pops are less than 100, and they're still down double digit percentage, since the beginning of 2022. I mean, Zion, I would imagine, is going to be a pretty bloodbath with the injury, and he didn't get traded, so he's still a Pelican.
He's in the best shape of his life, guy.
Dude, I think Zion's a buy, coming up right now. But but the problem is people have been buying Zion since the beginning of the month, or, basically. So like right now, if you look at his silver June 1st sold for 1250. Right, net last sale was 1875. So Zion over the course of the last 6 months is up 15% because people are buying the hype right now. I mean, that's all this is. People are not. This is contradictory to the market because people are buying the hype. He was hurt, and now they assume he's back in playing shape, and if he's going to be averaging, you know, getting back to 25, 30 points a game, etc. But you got a long way to wait. Basketball training camp and all that stuff doesn't happen for another 3 or 4 months. Football is going to come in. People are going to, I think you're going to see people sell some Zion here before, in the next month or two. Once football training camp gets going and the rest of the 2021 football products come out, I think, people are going to sell some of these Zions.
So if the last sale was 18, what was the all-time high? Like, 'cause
Uh,
I think what the mistake people are running into is they're looking at a recent all-time high, and by recent I mean in the last 24 months, and that can be very misleading.
All time high 5,100.
Right, and do you see that card going back up to 5,100?
No, I do not.
Right. So now it's a matter of, well, what is the potential on it? So now it's creeping up to 1,800 last sale, and now we're getting the gap between its potential versus what it's selling for is narrowing. So
Yeah, I mean, shit. Like, I mean, could this card and like if Zion comes back, people love Zion. Like people love Zion, and if he comes back and he's dunking on people and he's putting up 30 points a game and 10 rebounds, and he looks good, and the Pelicans they made some other moves and they can make one other move potentially in the offseason to get them into playoff contention, and Zion gets himself onto a big stage. I could this card easily be 2,500 to 3 grand. I don't see why not. The pop's still it's medium as far as like it's at 1,400 and change, so that's not ridiculous right now.
you're not willing to wait that long, guy.
I'm not, but but at the same time, I think buying now too. I think you're gonna buy at a short term high. I think that
Correct. I think it's going to come down before the
yeah,
season starts. Yeah.
I think that there's gonna be a period of August, September, where this thing is now hitting some short term highs, and guys that have been holding these cards for a while, waiting for him to bounce back, are potentially going to dump to get out. So
Right. So listen, in today's market, if you love Zion, well, get yourself a binder, buy a bunch of new 9 count pages, and fill it with every Zion base card you can find and read the back of the cards. That's what I would do.
what?
That is exactly what I would do. That's how you collect.
Jesus, he said binder. Ugh.
Guy, I'm bringing binders next time I come visit you.
Can we
I'm gonna
can
let, I'm
we
gonna make you leaf through them with me.
can we make you a shirt that says I'm bringing binders back? I think that
I'd wear that.
I think that's what we got to do. And we have to have like a picture
I'll
of
do
the.
a segment on how to store binders properly during the solo app. Which now
I
no
apologize.
one's gonna listen.
I apologize to all of you that are gonna withstand the solo episode. Um, so let's keep it moving here. We'll talk a little jaw. Um, let's take a quick look. 6 months. So 6 months jaw, Prism Silver, PSA 10, 850 to give you an idea. I mean, Ja had a freaking massive season, like a massive season. You know, they made the playoffs. They won. They made it past the first round of the playoffs. Pop on this card is 13 and change, and it's selling for less than half of Zion, and Zion didn't set foot on the fucking court pretty much all season. So that gives you an idea as far as how much more people love Zion. I mean, but Ja's numbers this year, as far as I know, were freaking,
Yeah.
insane.
But listen, getting back to the big takeaway from all these numbers, which are cool as hell, and you got to follow them if you're looking to invest, is we're coming off this period of absolute insanity buying. We're talking stupid money being spent, irresponsible money being spent on sports cards. And we're talking, and it's always existed, but we're talking shill bidding through the roof and fraudulent this and that with running auctions up and stuff. I mean, that's a lot of these all time highs are bogus. So
Yeah,
we got to keep that in mind. I got to get farther away at this point from 2019, 2020, 2021 to have any idea of when we're going to be market reset.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, shit. I mean, Ja literally was sixth in the league in points per game this season, and still his cards are still selling for 40% of Zion, and Zion didn't play. So I mean that's freaking bonkers as far as I'm concerned. And the all-time high on this card is pretty similar to Zion's. All-time high on this jaw card is 49.50 back in December of 2020.
And what's the pop on it?
1360.
You're never going to see that price again, unless he becomes an
No, no, no.
all-time.
And I'm not saying that you will, but the fact that this card is selling for so much less than Zion's is crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, Ja literally averaged 28 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists or whatever it is. Like he had a freaking amazing. He like had a breakout season, and his shit is still down 40% over the last 6 months, and is still selling for a lot less than Zion. So I'd be careful with Zion. I think people love him, and he's just a huge fan favorite. So it's definitely possible that Zion stuff keeps going up, but
What if the Nets trade Durant to New Orleans?
Jesus. I mean,
You're going to wish you had some Zion then, I bet.
yeah, I mean that's definitely possible. I mean, but I got to imagine. I don't know if New Orleans has the ammunition other than Zion to get Durant.
Yeah.
um, all right, let's keep it moving for basketball here. I mean, the segment is definitely going on a lot longer, so hopefully people enjoy all this data. We're gonna zoom through the rest of this for basketball. We'll take a quick look at Jordan. Try to come up with something that's affordable, relatively affordable. Let's see, what's a PSA 7?
And speaking of affordable, in that time, you're talking about grade of the card. And back with the Mano, there's no purple refractor of Mano's 52. Like that's the other thing here. We have thousands of modern rookie cards to choose from, and
Yeah,
unless you're identifying the top five or the ones that people are going to want, that's why vintage is drastically different. There's just not that many of them. So
true.
that's why you're talking. Oh, let me find an affordable one. You're speaking to grade, whereas an affordable modern day card is less scarcity.
Yeah, very true. I mean, Jordan, overall down. If you look at like his PSA 4, 5, 6, and 7 on the 86, it's between flat and down 15%. Just depending on when you bought it and what you got for it. So obviously it's pretty same deal as Mantle. There's definitely a lot more pop floating around on the Jordan than the Mantle, so that's why it's flat to down versus the Mantle is up a bit. So that's what you get on that. Let's
I wonder how those reprints are doing, guy.
see.
I'm gonna go and clip that
Yeah,
segment from episode 5 when you told me reprints of Jordan's 86 Fleer were going to the moon and back.
I'm glad we sold those.
Yeah,
So
go
you look
figure.
at the 1980 tops, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Julius Irving. We're looking at the PSA 7. This card's down 35%, but the pop on this is fairly large, especially for a 1980 card. Pop's 34 and change, 3400 and change. So this card's down 35%.
No, they printed plenty of cards in 1980, guy.
Yeah, that's for sure. Last but not least, we'll take a look at a little 2003 LeBron. We'll go to the Topps Chrome version since there's a little bit less of those. Let's see, PSA 8. Yeah, PSA 8. Uh, so it's interesting. This card was selling for 1,600 at the beginning of the year. At the end of June, last sale was 870. So this is down almost 50%. But then there was two sales 29th of June at 1135, and then the 30th of June at 1375. But those are both. Let's see,
Buy it now.
we had one fixed price at 1375, one auction at 1271, one best offer at 1,000, and then an auction at 870, all within 4 days of each other.
Yeah, it seems a little weird.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit fishy because the auctions were all closing 870 to 900, and then all of a sudden they almost doubled in price. So
Yeah,
I would say this card you're looking at probably legitimately without some bullshit shill bidding a 40% drop off in the last 6 months. I mean the Lakers played like shit They have no idea what they're looking at as far as whether or not LeBron's going to win another one. So there's definitely a fairly big correction on LeBron.
Yeah, and don't let someone tell you that when there's a one outlier buy it now that they're holding firm on their price, which they're allowed to do. You can hold firm on your price; it just shouldn't sell because of one outlier buy it now comp, and I have 10 auctions that are $300 left.
Yeah.
So don't listen to people that tell you, oh well, this one's went as high as 1,300. Well, until there's 10 buy it nows at 1,300, it's probably closer to the auction price.
Yeah. I would wholeheartedly agree with you on that.
So I see it all the time. People negotiating prices. They're like, "Oh, look at this buy it now." Okay, you just sold it to your buddy last week, and did no money changed hands.
All right. We'll move on to football. We'll start with Mahomes. Mahomes, we'll look at the 2017 Prism Silver PSA 9. This card selling for 879.
Gross.
Yeah. At one point in 2020, in 2021 and end of 2021 and early 2022, we were buying a ton of raw Mahomes, getting nines and selling these consistently for 15 to $1,800. These cards literally got all the way up in 2022 to 1658, and then last sale was 880. So, between the beginning of the year, you're looking at 38%, but from the high of the last 6 months to where it is now, you're talking like a 50% drop off. I personally, if you can get your hands on Mahomes, I think there's definitely some opportunities to be made. If it's a dice roll, as far as whether or not if he can survive without Tariq and make use of the other, the new weapons that he has, and he's out there slinging it, and the Chiefs are winning games. I think people get their confidence back with him, and his prices come back up. But for now, that's I said you're at 6 month lows on this card,
Can I set
and
an alert to automatically buy at 4.99?
dude, if you can get a Mahomes PSA 9 for less than $500, I would fucking hop on that. Because if you look at the 1 year trend of this card, you're down 55%. This card was at one point in August of last year selling at 2,500. So you're definitely talking about way off highs.
Yeah, and again, that's when just stupid spending was going on.
We shall see. I mean, some levels of this card you could be looking at. The next like true support level, if you look at a chart, is 380 back in
What?
March of 2020.
Damn.
And that's literally like right before pandemic went into full effect. So you're talking like 380 to $400 is the last like real support level of this card.
Well, current body of work and current trajectory, I'm all in at that price.
Dude, I would buy all day long at that price. Let's look at the 2020 crew. So we'll look at some Justin Herbert. I mean, people are definitely expecting some big things out of Mr. Herbert this year. We'll look at his Silver Prism PSA 9. 50% drop off since the beginning of the year. Oh, that's all time. Hold on. 6 months. Herbert's actually flat over the last 6 months. And, basically started the year at 429. Last sale was 475. And the low in the last 6 months is basically right around 430. So
So, with your background in the current state of the economy, reading a chart like this is flat a good thing.
So here, as far as the way I'm reading this chart, it's what's known as a channel or a range. So this card over the last 6 months literally traded and sold from between 400 and 685, literally, and it bounced off each one. You literally had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times where it hit in that 400 to 450 range, and 1, 2, 3, 7 times where it hit in that basically 575 to 650 range. So it literally is in this. So what if this was a stock or any sort of other financial product, I'm waiting till it breaks out one way or the other before I do anything with it.
Okay.
Um, but at the same time, I mean, because there's, if you buy the last sale was 475. So if you buy it on eBay at 475 between taxes and fucking shipping and everything else, by the time it's all said and done, the most you're hoping to sell it for is 650. You're not going to make any money.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're a long-term Herbert believer and you feel that this may be the bottom of where he's at, then yeah, now would be a good time to scoop it. There's not over the last 12 months, the lowest that this card has sold for is 390. So if you can get that card for less than 450, you're in a minimal downside risk position over recent sales.
So can does flat always mean minimal downside risk?
It depends. I mean,
I'm just throwing softballs at you here, guy.
I I appreciate it, but I'm just saying, like if you look at, and I'm sure Burrow's chart's going to look pretty similar. Like right now, with the way that Los Angeles, the Chargers are shaping up, to potentially make a Super Bowl run, their defense is freaking stacked, and if the offense can play, I mean, Chargers have a chance to go deep in the playoffs, and Herbert gets himself a fucking ring. He's now getting mentioned in the same conversation as Mahomes as far as best guys on the field right now. Because Mahomes has one ring, and if Herbert gets himself a ring, his stuff gets bumped to the next stratosphere. It gets bumped to the next level. So this is not a terrible price to be buying Herbert at right now. I mean, just you have, if you look at the charts, there's minimal downside risk. And once again, this is not financial advice, and do your own homework and all the other blah 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 shit you got to throw in here. But it's not bad as far as looking at Herbert right now, because his stuff's only gonna jump once training camp opens and people start talking about how good the Chargers are. I mean, people are already saying Chargers have number one defense in the league this year.
Well, I need him to kick your ass week 4 of fantasy football. So
We'll get there. Shit, that reminds me. We gotta. All right. Fuck, we should have announced this at the beginning. We're gonna announce it now. If you want in on the Sports Card Advantage Podcast Fantasy Football League, send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. Remind me to announce this at the top of next week's episode.
I'm doing my own team, guy.
God, you're not getting your own team. There's a host team.
What?
It's football. We'll pay attention. Basketball,
All
we
right.
suck at. We didn't pay attention. Somebody still won. It's the same rules as basketball. Winner will get a prize from us. I think we gave away. What the fuck did we give away for basketball? We gave away a really nice slab card.
Rated
Yeah,
piece, yeah.
really nice slab card for basketball. And then if you want to enter, let us know if you want to actually play for money as well. So if you want to throw in 25 or 50 bucks, if you're willing to do that, then there'll be a money pool and a card that's given out, and we'll figure out what the prizes are. We'll
Yeah, we
take
just do a quick league safe or something.
Yeah, if there's more than 12 people that want to get in, then we will, pick 11 people to enter. All right, let's keep moving. Shit, we're already 48 minutes in here. I thought this was going to take a lot less time.
No, it's been good conversation.
Hope so. Hope everybody's enjoying the complete nerding out that we're doing here.
Now, if we can figure out how to get box prices down, this all makes sense.
Yes. Well, good luck with that. I don't have any control over box prices.
Well, you won't, because again, as long as demand remains high, the prices can be whatever the prices are. People still looking to get in. Companies know that.
So Burrow also similar to Herbert. First sale at the beginning of 2022, 2,300. Last sale 2,850. I'm not counting the anomaly 4,200 sale that went.
Nope.
Yeah, that's not anywhere near. So this is PSA 10. Let's look at 9 just to keep things comparable. Yeah, so obviously Burrow's stuff had a massive run up, um, in the beginning of
Up to the
2022
Super Bowl.
because of the Super Bowl run. But if you look at the first sale on the PSA 9 was 399 on January 1st, and then most recent sale on the 30th was 466. So it's up 15%, pretty similar to Herbert um, as far as the overall price increase. But the charts don't look similar in the fact that the Super Bowl run just completely threw everything out of whack. And if Herbert does the same thing this year, you'd be looking at the same price run up in the playoffs. So Burrow's tricky. He has a huge
Yeah, he's going to need to repeat his
yeah.
performance to get collectors on board here.
Yeah, he has a big shoe. I don't say shoes to fill because they're
Yeah,
his
I know
own,
what
but
you're
he
saying.
he has a lot to live up to from last year.
That's correct.
So if they come out and they aren't freaking talk of the town, and he's not throwing for 350 and three a game, I think that people may get a little bit skittish. So that's also similar to Mahomes as far as just a dice roll on that. And then last but not least, on the football side, Mr. Tom Brady. Obviously, can't talk about anything sports card related without talking about Tom Brady.
Yeah, guy. What do we got? He's another one with a ton of rookie cards.
Yeah, well, we'll look at his Bowman, the big one, the Bowman. Bowman.
Paper Chrome.
I'll look at the Chrome. Fuck paper. So Brady also pretty flat. First sale of 20. We're looking at the PSA 8. First sale of 2022 was 3050. Last sale July 1st is literally 3050. So exactly flat. Range bound, similar to Herbert as far as just bounced off. You know, tops and bottoms between 2500 and 3500 for the most part for the entire last 6 months. So Brady, I don't know what you would do with Brady. If you haven't bought into Brady already, he's retired and unretired. He's gonna retire at some point in the next 12 to 24 months. Whether or not his stuff gets a bump at retirement, I don't think so. And he's
Yeah,
been
that's the thing. We have the entire body of work. Like, forget this year. We have the entire body of work, and unless he's going to go win another Super Bowl to get that kind of bump, we have the entire body of work. It's set in stone. So I agree with you. We might even be looking at maybe slightly lower than where we're sitting right now.
But
He's
even if
still
he wins
active.
another Super Bowl, he's already got fucking seven. He's already the greatest of
Yeah.
all time. Do you really see another Super Bowl other than a short-term bump? Do you really see it giving Brady any long-term longevity?
No, I'd have to look into the lower popped items, and if I'm going to buy in long term, I'm just going to grab the scarcest that he has. If I'm looking at any kind of long term return.
Yeah. So, once again, to summarize all of this, the interesting part of this is baseball, other than mantle stuff, is down across the board between 20 to 40%. Basketball, for the most part, also down across the board between 20 and 50%, depending on which one you look at. Football seems to be holding strong, as far as it's not down as much or flat or up. So overall, football is doing all right. And the other person we didn't look at, which I want to take a quick look at, that has now gotten on everybody's radar after last year, is Josh Allen. Obviously, people knew who he was before last year, but he had the massive games on the big stages. Bills are looking strong. All right, let's take a quick look. And then if you look at Allen's stuff over the last 6 months, his stuff's up 20%. His silver PSA 9 first sale of 2022 was 1500. Last sale was 1825. So, his stuff's up 20%. And I think, I was going to talk about him in our investment section, but I'll talk about it right now. I think Josh Allen is, you know, people are expecting so much from him this year that he's a dice roll. Like, as far as whether or not his stuff's already up, it's already been up over the last 6 months, and how much more is it going to go? And it's all just going to depend on the playoffs. If they make a run and they go to the Super Bowl, his stuff's going to skyrocket. But otherwise, I think people have already put him on that pedestal and already put him in that Mahomes conversation. And I don't know. I don't know what you're going to see out of him.
So if stuff like that is already up at this time of year for him, but I'm an Allen fan, let's say, and I want to get in on him. I'm going to be looking for, to our points earlier. I'm going to chase the pieces, the rookie cards that the investors don't want. So he's got his his more iconic or the more highly sought after ones. So if I want to get in the game on Allen, I'll maybe chase the ones that maybe, especially right now in the market right now, if people are more chasing those higher end pieces, like I might get in on the lower stuff because across the board, if those things jump because he's playing through the roof, the lower end stuff's going to go with it. You
Yeah.
won't get the same amount of money,
I mean, for some of these guys like that,
but I also won't overpay now.
2018 and forward, I love the optic hollow stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, I think it's, your second tier common card, so you have your silver prism and then optic hollow. I mean,
But
obviously
optic
there's,
comics always do well. I feel like that wouldn't be one of the ones I'm targeting here in the Allen discussion. But
um,
I love the look of them. They're awesome.
yeah, they look good, and
But yeah,
they're
it's like a
liquid.
1B,
Yeah.
1A. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, yes, there's other things here that we have a friend, our friend from Minnesota always criticizes us because we talk about Prism all the time, and but it's like you have to have some sort of baseline for stuff, and in my opinion, the reason why we look at Prism and Optic Hollow is because it's common and it's liquid. Yes, there's refractors and all kinds of other colors and other things, but when there's only one sale every 3 to 4 months, there's not a lot of data to look at for that, number one. And I would look at some select stuff, but there's like 88 variations of this shit in select, and that also just becomes, it's confusing, and there's too many variations in my opinion. So that's why we always look at Prism and Optic as our big ones to look at. Um, all right. Do anything else that you want to cover for our first half of 2022 State of the Hobby?
No, I think we're good. I mean, we could talk further and just keep going down into the weeds and down a hole talking about it. But
We're already in the weeds, in the hole at this
well,
point. So,
let's wrap up with our game use discussion.
all right.
Did
So,
somebody have that question?
yes, we do have that question, which I will pose to you. Shout out to Eric
Yeah,
for,
reread it for me.
yeah, I'll reread it for you. Shout out to Eric. As meanwhile, for those of you that are watching YouTube, just saw the fantasy football keepers for Bunk and I's fantasy league on the screen because I wasn't paying attention. But alrighty, here we go. Can you
At least
just?
it proves I have Herbert.
I don't remember what was up on the screen. Can you discuss your thoughts on game used, player worn, event worn memorabilia cards? I find it disingenuous that there are patch relics that are really vague on whether or not the player depicted on the card actually even wore the material on the card. For example, Topps baseball relics that state only game worn without MLB hologram verification sticker. I'd like to give Topps the benefit of the doubt when they say game worn memorabilia on a Ronald Acuna card, but then say on the back, the relic on this card is not from any specific game, event, or season. The vague legal terms make me think, yet maybe game worn, but from Ronald McDonald, the hamburger loving bat boy, or whatever. Technically, it would still be true. So, what are your thoughts on, game used, player worn stuff? I mean, obviously it used to be all game used, and now it's like, the
Yeah.
guy wiped his head on it during practice and they cut it up and put it on a card.
So I collected right up to through high school, and then literally had like an 18-month hiatus when I went to school, when I was at college. And then when I got into my own place and out of the dorms, I brought all my cards with me. Yeah, and that's when I joined eBay. So my eBay's from 2002 or something like that, and that's when I first got into it. No, I mean patch cards were the absolute best when they first came out, but I think a lot of it was for me. It wasn't that it was worn by the player; it was how freaking cool they looked. Pinstripes, three colors. You were trying to get the coolest looking stuff you could. But you're right. On the back of those early releases, it was game used memorabilia worn by this player in a major league game or something like that. Whereas now they're so vague with it could have been they wore it for 5 minutes at a signing,
Yeah,
like an event, and they're considering that player touch. So yes, they're very vague with it. I think what happened was it was so popular when it came out, just like anything, the company saw the popularity and the demand that was there, and they had to keep buying jerseys and find ways to get all this stuff cheap, cut them
yeah,
up, and getting them into many products as possible. Do I think they're being deliberately fraudulent with these things? No, I think they're vague because they don't know where in the hell it was worn. So you got to take it, you know, even the hologram stuff, even the stuff, those are cool. You can look up, oh, look at the box score from this game. Trout hit a home run wearing this jersey. Do you trust Tops that those little holograms things all matched up and were kept pace? I mean, you can't.
yeah.
But
There's no real way to prove it. There's no video
no,
documentation for all this stuff that shows the provenance of him wearing the jersey, taking the jersey off, handing it off to a Tops representative,
correct,
cutting it up, and
correct.
going into the cards. Yeah, there. I
Right.
mean,
So it's all fugazi, in my opinion. So people just go for the look now. It's whatever ones look the coolest. The more breaks and the colors in the patches look really cool. But it's also why they've come down and are pretty much worthless.
yeah.
They're
I
not. They
mean,
don't have the same kind of flair they used to.
yeah, I mean, it used to be patches sold for a ton of money. Now you can get patches of non-rookie stuff for like $5. I mean, it's
Oh my
so
god!
cheap these
I
days.
used I used to collect because well, I mean, Tex was I think a switch hitter, but Hank Blaylock and Teixeira when they were on the Rangers, I used to player collect them. And their patches were I got all these dual patches off eBay of those two guys, and it was all game worn, and those things were going for a fortune. I was picking up. I could put them up right now. I'd get $5 for
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I mean,
and they
well,
say game worn.
that's because it's Hank Blaylock.
Guy,
Hank
Hank
Blaylock
Blaylock,
was a lot more popular back.
power guy.
Hank Blaylock was a lot more popular back in the day than he is now. That's for damn sure. I would guarantee you that you and like three other people in our audience know who Hank Blaylock is.
I'm gonna take a random guess in his 109 career home runs, but I think I'm wrong with that. I hope it was more.
Well, and that's why
But
you're surprised that you would get $5 for it.
no, but again, let's look at let's not even look at baseball. Let's look at what's it called? Rookie patch autos, all the RPA craze. Are any RPA actually game worn when they're produced? No, these
Probably,
guys
probably
no,
not.
they haven't played in a game and these
Yeah.
products are coming out. They're not, we're calling them RP, it's all
Well,
a
I
game.
mean, plus the advent of the sticker auto, it used to be the guys showed up, signed, and signed the cards and whatever. Now they get mailed a bunch of stickers, so now it's just like you have there's no quality control and there's no visual of them signing anything, and then also the same as the jerseys being worn.
Yeah, but look, you look at all these patches where it's not even the right team. In nameplates, it's the wrong letters. It doesn't match a city, a mascot, or the player's last name. So with all these issues with the way they cut up and put it on cards, you can't trust any of it. So it doesn't matter. They could put they to save themselves, and I don't know if you can even bring lawsuits against it, but to save themselves, not any particular event or sporting whatever, there's just less liability on them. So
Yeah, I
take it for
mean,
what it is. They're probably not game worn.
yeah.
I'm not convinced that it has a hologram that it was from that game either, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, that's why you've seen the value come down, and it's all about the card companies going after the money. I mean, they could easily. I mean, that would be something amazing if they brought it back, and in that they have game worn and they do the proper provenance for some of this stuff, and you don't have to do it for the entire league. You don't need Joe Blow on the fucking Kansas City Royals that played 4 games. Like, get top 15, top 20 guys,
Too much money.
and yeah, and get them to wear get their jerseys off some of these games. Find a time when they hit a home run or whatever, and then get that jersey, cut it up, and put it in a card, and you can show the illustration, the video of them that being done, and that brings back value. But the card companies don't want to do that. They don't. It's too much work. Instead of just
Right.
cranking out a fucking,
And it was
cutting
just
up
easier
everything and throwing.
buying
Yeah,
mass jerseys and pants
yeah,
of anybody and cutting it up, and it is what it is.
yeah. We just buy a Braves jersey and cut it up and say Acuna fucking looked at it once, and we sell it.
Yeah, so disingenuous, yeah, I can see that. But deliberately disingenuous or deliberately fraudulent? No, I don't think that's the case at all. I just think there's no way for them to keep track of it all.
Yeah,
And they were a popular piece. Like people still collect them and want the patches. They just kind of lost you know, their excitement and stuff. So I mean, I
yeah,
don't really see as much of it now. People chasing that kind of stuff, but for a while, it was all the rage.
yeah. Okay. All right. We're gonna close with Bunk talking about his one true love in the Major League Baseball world. Actually, excuse me, let me rephrase that. His one true love that is currently playing, his actual one true love retired already. So why don't you talk us through what you're looking at for this week's potential investment?
Yeah, and it was more just to kind of tie it in with a discussion on the state of the hobby. And then, we like to talk, different things in terms of player performance, player non-performance, player injury, and how that can affect buying opportunities. So I took the opportunity. I was like, let me look at Harper. He just had surgery. They're saying maybe September 1st return. The Phillies aren't going to go anywhere, is my guess, but we'll see what happens.
Oh wow, he's out that
Um,
long.
yeah, he's maybe September 1st. And if that's the case, being what his contract is, and the Phillies are out of it, do you bother bringing him back? I mean, if we're pushing mid September, you got 2 weeks left in the season. So in any event, so I was just looking to see how the market responded. Obviously, small sample size because the injury was June 25th, so we're not even we're about a week out on that.
Yeah.
So you already had auctions that were in the middle that closed after the injury, but maybe got pumped up early and such. So to contrast our discussion earlier, I didn't know how our discussion was going to go, but I chose one card with a high pop and one card with a lower pop just to see what was going on. So I was looking at his tops update, 2012 tops update. Has a 2600 pop. It's been previously as high as $205. The last two sales averaged about $100. So
Which
you're
2012 tops update base?
yeah, number 183.
Okay. So this thing, I don't know if I'm looking at the same thing you are. 2012 tops update base PSA 10, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Picture him running.
okay, got it. All right. So I got that. Um.
So the last two sales averaged $100. The 1 year low on it, I believe, is like $80. So it's approaching that.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing here is I'm watching it to see is it going to kind of come down to that 1 year low or below because of the current state of the Phillies and him not playing. So, but with that being said, because it's a higher population card, I don't want in at it unless it drops below that point. So that's why I'm keeping tabs on that. I also looked at the BGS 9.5s as well for that card. Also a pretty high pop. It's got 873 on the 9.5. Its 1 year low was about $34, and the last sale was 51. So also not far off from its 1 year low.
Shit. I mean, you get it at $35. This thing, September of last year was 150. On the BGS 9.5. So if you can pick that up at $35, and I mean, you just stash it till next season.
Yeah, I mean, again, these aren't quick flips. These are great buying opportunities of hopefully who's going to have a tremendous career in a time where people aren't buying.
Yeah. All right. What's the other one?
The other one is 2012 Finest. You want to pull that up?
Topps finest.
Yeah, the base card number 73.
You pulled that out of what, market movers?
I did actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not in card ladder. You gotta make me freaking find it.
I like card ladder because I can switch between grades easy, but I like the general use of market movers
Yeah,
better.
the interface on card ladder is better, but
Oh, it blows it
yeah,
away.
the
Yeah,
inventory on market movers is
so much
is
better.
better. Yeah.
But I love being able to switch between the grades of the same card on card ladder. But anyway, you got the PSA 10 on the base finest. It only has a population of 431. It averages about 150-ish usually. It has a recent outlier high at 300, which I'm not counting. But the last couple sales are starting to dip under that 150 range. So I'm keeping an eye on that. So I'm not expecting a big drop because of the pop on it, because you're not seeing as many of them. But if I can get this thing down under that average 150, and with his injury, I'm looking to jump on that. The BGS 9.5 has about half the pop, 271. Um, it's coming in about $79 right now. It was 120. So both things have been trending down. Again, only a week since the injury, so some of the data is a little skewed if it was auction versus buy now. But these are the two I'm keeping track of, and what I'm doing in regards to both of them, because I collect him, and to your point about that update one, to get it for $50 on a previous high of 150, or even 35 on the one, I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean Harper has definitely shown that he is good
He was
on
winning
the
the
field.
MVP this year
Yeah,
again if he didn't get hurt.
yeah, he's good on the field, and he's had a good run of games, and as far as potential MVP and all that. So
The
yeah,
only thing that was going to hurt him this year was the DHing because of the injury. That may have hurt his chances at the MVP if he didn't blow out of the water the runner up.
yeah. What was his stats looking like before he got hurt?
Absurd.
All right, well, let me get to the real
I mean, they weren't
numbers.
eye popping home run numbers, but if you look at every other metric under the sun that screams offensive
Yeah, I mean, he
craziness.
would have gotten to 100 RBIs and 100 runs and probably 35 home runs. That would have
Yeah,
been a solid season.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
he's that good. He's that good. But
Well,
here we go again, another injury.
your opinion's a little skewed, but anyway, all right. I think that's it. We're 11 minutes over our normal allotted hour, so I think we're gonna
Uh,
wrap up for today. Let me see here. We'll run through everything again. Once again, if you want to get entered in to win a free T-shirt, send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. 2022 Sports Card Advantage Fantasy Football League. We will get that rolling and do a online draft similar to what we did for basketball. So if you want to get in on that, send us an email. Also, let us know that if you're willing to put up 25 or $50 so that we can have a cash pool and a card prize. And also send us emails to help out Mr. Bunk, who's going to be running a solo episode for the first time in the history of the podcast here in a couple of weeks. Anything else for the fine folks on this 4th of July weekend?
buy a binder.
Buy a binder. Bringing binders back. All right. Well, everybody have a wonderful July 4th
Happy
holiday.
4th.
Stay safe and celebrate America.